to 2 spells first. Hunter, to that end, has 3 copies of Murderous Cut and his 2 Stubborn Denials. And the other is Overpower Someone. With that in mind, he has 2 copies of Tragic Arrogance along with several copies of Disdainful Stroke in his sideboard. Though Hunter in a bit of a hole here, starting off on a mulligan to 5.
Yeah, that's certainly going to hurt him. We did see him win this matchup to make top 8 over Andrew Jessup, and he certainly embraced a control role. You're right, a mull to 5 is going to be difficult, but we'll see if he can pull it off. He's going to have to beat Jared Bauer. That's the guy who took down Todd Anderson last round, if you weren't watching. A close 3 games. Jared is on the play as the 2nd seed and will start.
I believe that's Heir of the Wilds.
Heir of the Wilds, all right. That's a 4 of in Bauer's deck. Did not catch that the first time around when we saw it against Todd, but yeah, he is definitely on an aggressive bent here. 4 copies of this card.
Yeah, there is an incentive to add more 2-drops to the deck when you have Anafenza, because you want to get that draw of turn 2 creature, turn 3 Anafenza. Now I'm growing that other creature. It's also a nice thing to pair with Dromoka's Command, as it has Death Touch.
Yeah. No, I would think in the Abzan matchup, as there's a lot of these cards that, are functionally the same. They're a creature, they're a removal spell, there's a lot of trading. This card to me seems pretty acceptable. Okay, it's a creature, it has Death Touch, it'll probably trade with everything, and hey, it costs 2. That's a discount rate.
It's not a source of card advantage and can get overpowered pretty easily as opposed to something like Death Misraptor, but it does facilitate some pretty powerful openings, especially with turn 3 and offensive.
All right, so Jared will swing, getting the first damage in. That gets Hunter down to 18. And followed up with a Warden of the first tree, 2 mana up. That's going to represent a 3/3. Pressure on Jared's +2 creatures. Hunter's going to have something.
Now, interesting enough, Bauer used the Flooded Strand to go get a Canopy Vista instead of getting a Sunken Hollow to allow him to have black mana. So that could mean a number of things. Could mean that he has Gideon on the way.
Sure, wants the 2nd white. That's a really good tell here. It's subtle, but yeah, if he needs the 2nd white, there's only 1 real card that you should expect that costs double white. We look at Hunter's side. He does have some lands and cards. Abzan Charm. And we saw this before with Hunter, all the battle lands. So he has to play Den Protector and then 3rd land into play, tapped along with the rest. Jared having none of that. Instead of pumping the Warden end step, he Dromoka's Commands away the Den Protector and untaps with a huge advantage here.
We've seen this a couple times now. The battle lands are definitely powerful, but when someone opens up with 1 on the first turn and other comes into play, tap lands, engender the same problem, other non-basic lands, you're playing off curve sometimes for 2 or 3 turns. That's what's happening in Nance right now. Bauer, on the other hand, is open on basic, and now his battle lands come in clean, and he can curve out very efficiently.
All right, well, there's the red mana source and the black mana source, both found off wooded foothills. So may not be Gideon here, but Anafenza will do the trick. He's going to go ahead and play her so that he can trigger Heir of the Wilds. Good call on the extra point of damage, and then swing in for 5 Hunters down to 12. And post-board, he'd have a sweeper, but pre-board, this is hard for him to recover from, just because it's hard to cast spells fast enough to deal with -3 creatures.
Well, Siege Rhino is not a bad catch-up here. It looks like Nance doesn't have it, but if Bauer's on empty, then Siege Rhino does a good job of checking both Ward of the First Tree and Anafenza.
Yeah. Hunter goes ahead and exiles the Anafenza. Did not have a land. You're right, Rhino will be great. Hunter is sitting on both Rhino and Woodland Wanderer, so worry hit the 4th land. He does have some plays, but he'll need it soon. Here's a Pump of Warden, a swing for 6. Hunter's taking a lot of damage here. And you see here, Hunter took 5 the previous turn and took 6 this turn, so he is now down to 6. He'll need a land this turn and untapped, and it's provided. Here's Anafenza, and he passes. Now, he had Rhino, and he went for Anafenza plus Stubborn Denial instead, it looks like.
Well, Anafenza blocks just as effectively as Siege Rhino does on this spot, and Hunter is in huge trouble if the Siege Rhino just eats a removal spell, so I think this is a safer line.
He will go counter. Well, trying Dromoka's Command would be good, and now you see Stubborn Denial showing through Hunter countering the Dromoka's Command. And now he's just got to hope that Jared can't push through, and I'm not positive Jared can. I think his last cards are Shambling Vent and Den Protector.
Although he still may be able to push through the following turn.
Yeah.
I don't think he can get it done this turn, but this is not a bad last set of cards to have.
Well, here's the thing with Heir of the Wilds. Remember, it has Death Touch, so it will trade. And this forces the issue more or less. Hunter can't go down to 3, so he'll block. Trade will happen. Hunter stays at 6, and then last card for Jared Bauer, that's the Den Protector. Graveyard full of some weapons. He has Dromoka's Command. That's the best one in there. A lot of his creatures are removed via exiling, so we'll see what else he has. Looks like lands and Dromoka's Command, maybe nothing else. On Hunter's side, it'll be Siege Rhino back up to 9, Jared to 13. Life total's close. And we go back to Jared.
And Hunter working with a pretty reasonable cushion here.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he's been so far behind this game, but when you then stop and survey the board, you know, Siege Rhino does a great job of patching things back together. And for Jared, he does not use Den Protector on end step.
Well, there's just nothing, there's no star for him to get back right now.
Yeah, it's just Dromoka's Command. Hunter at a healthy 9. Now, Jared, with Warden, can force Hunter to have a kill spell. With 6 lands, he can, if he's willing to make a big investment here, activate.
And that Den Protector can get back land number 8 if he wants to go down that road.
Yeah, we go, so land and 7 in play for Jared. Still has a Den Protector, face down. We're back on Hunter's side.
Yeah, Bauer can get land number 8 to allow him to animate both copies and attack with the 2 shambling vents.
Sure.
So he doesn't necessarily have to get back Dromoka's Command with this Den Protector, depending on what Nance does.
Yeah, so if Nance doesn't have another blocker, he can just get 8 lands and then flood the board with creatures.
He doesn't even have to make that move. He can also sit back and just pump Warden, force a removal spell from Nance. So Bauer can't quite close the door just yet, although if he draws a removal spell, then he's a huge favorite to be able to do it. But in the meantime, he's got plenty of stuff to do with his mana.
Well, no removal spell at the ready. It's Woodland Wanderer for Nance. Not a full value Woodland Wanderer. It's only a 5/5 at the moment. We see Jared. He's going to change gears. And for the first time this weekend, Warden of the First Tree is going to start trying to get big. It's got lifelink and trample now as Jared fed at 4.
Something to be concerned, though, if you are Bauer, there are 3 copies of Murderous Cut in Nance's list.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the danger, right? That Woodland Wanderer could have been a 6/6 if Hunter was willing to tap that dual land.
Yep.
But he didn't. So either Hunter's an excellent bluffer here, or he just has the Murderous Cut.
Well, Nance needs to show some strength here, because if he just taps out and doesn't have Murderous Cut available, it's trivial for Bauer to just fire up the Warden of the First Tree all the way up and attack.
And look at this. Jared draws a card. It's land number 8. He did not attack with Warden or pump Warden. So by not doing this, this means if Hunter has the Murderous Cut, Jared can use Den Protector, buy back Warden, and start over?
Yes. And I got a glance there at Nance's hand. He does, in fact, have Murderous Cut. That was the last card in his hand.
So he may do that, but, I mean, Hunter has so much trample on board. Jared doesn't have time to make that line. You see, here's a swing. That's 9 power worth of tramplers. Jared's at 13.
Yeah, Bauer makes a move here and just blocks with Warden and pumps. I believe a removal spell will simply kill him. Or it's close to it, rather.
Yeah, he'll take 9. But, you know, 9's a lot. Yeah, he's going to block. Here's going to go for 5/1/1 counters, force Hunter to have the Murderous Cut. But Hunter has the Murderous Cut. Delving away 1, 2, 3, 4. Leaves Den Protector and Abzan Charm. And the Warden will be cut down. Trampling is going to happen, and suddenly Jared down to 4. Big turn of events. And Hunter with a blocker. It's Hangerback Walker on 2. And yeah, Jared facing down lethal here. He's going to fetch on end step. He can use that Den Protector. Options are Warden of the First Tree and Dromoka's Command. Good cards, but not good cards here. Goes and gets back Warden. But even if he casts it, I don't know that it keeps him alive.
Yeah, I don't know if he has quite enough time for that.
Wingmate Rock was the draw. Great card for the matchup, but once again, may just be too slow.
I think my preference there would have been to get back to the Dromoka's Command, because that's the highest upside card. If you draw a Siege Rhino, suddenly you're in good shape with the Dromoka's Command.
Yeah.
The Warden does not do a whole lot.
Well, here's a swing with Den Protector. Does Hunter block? It's a free block. Den Protector will be taken down. Jared's trying to raid the Wingmate Rock that he just top decked. does have enough mana to cast Wingmate Rock, cast Warden, level up Warden. That's the on-board play. And Hunter takes damage, down to 5. So Jared's going to play the board. Here's Wingmate Rock, another 3/4. Here's Warden, no cards in Jared's hand. Level up Warden immediately. And it's a 3/3. Can he survive? He's at 3. 9 power of trample. Jared's got that covered, though. He has 11 points of toughness. And he may have just been able to get this.
I mean, yeah, it looks like Bauer has the tools to at least block out of this turn.
Looks like Hunter's going to swing the team. Hunter maybe have been punished a little bit for not blocking that Den Protector. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure what trade-up he was really worried about in that spot. Because if it's Obs-on Charm, the Obs-on Charm could have just removed the blocker anyway.
Yeah, sometimes you have the fear of just, when you feel like you're very far ahead, it's fear of the unknown. This block looks, this attack is suspicious. I have life points to give. We'll just take it. But
yeah. The problem is I don't think there's a way for Bauer to block here without breaking open the Hangerback Walker. And then it's hard for him to crack back for anything substantial.
You're right. Is it possible that he didn't want to pump Warden, so do you have the option of just chumping Hangerback?
I suppose, no, actually, I suppose you can put a token in front of Siege Rhino, and you can double block the Woodland Wanderer. And I think that's enough of a block to get out. I don't know. It looks like Bauer's just packing. Looks like Bauer's just conceding to the attack.
Yeah, but that attack's not lethal, I don't believe.
I think there's a block there. I think you can put the 3/4 in front of the Siege Rhino. That negates that attack. You can put You can put Warden the first tree and Wingmate Rock in front of the Woodland Wanderer.
You'll lose the bird, but that's fine.
Yeah, and if Hunter Nance drew nothing, if you draw a removal spell for the Woodland Wanderer, actually with that block, you're getting the Woodland Wanderer off the table. You're putting enough in front of it. So
yeah, it's 6 power in front of it, 6, 7 added together. So you take care of the Woodland Wanderer. 2 damage off Hangerback puts him to 1, but if he's at 3 there, which we believe he was, that's not actually lethal.
Yeah, in any case, Bauer packed it up, and Hunter Nance on a mulligan to 5, able to take game 1.
All right, fair enough. We'll go over to the sideboard. We saw Hunter Nance managed to win some post-sideboard games playing for top 8. That was against Andrew Jessup. So let's take a look at what he does again. This is a pretty interesting one, starting with his sideboard.
Well, you got 2 copies of Tragic Arrogance, a Wingmate Rock, a Virulent Plague, 2 Disdainful Strokes, 2 Den Protectors, 2 Dispels, 3 Silk Wraps, a Sorin, and a Dromoka's Command. We've seen this package before here. I don't know if he's going to bring in Silk Wraps in this matchup because they're vulnerable to Dromoka's Command, and there's no copies of Hangerback Walker in Bauer's list, so they're a little bit worse here. But the 2 copies of Tragic Arrogance, the additional copy of Wingmate Rock, 2 copies of Disdainful Stroke, 2 Dispels, and 2 Den Protectors. Maybe Dispel, maybe not, but certainly Den Protectors, Disdainful Strokes, the Wingmate Rock, and the 2 copies of Tragic Arrogance, I think is a really potent mixture for this matchup.
Yeah, and that certainly is interesting. That Jared Bauer, has gotten away from Hangerback Walker and has gone for Heir of the Wilds instead. And we've noticed that Hangerback Walker has not been a star this weekend. And that does get Hunter away from something like Silk Wrap?
I think so. When Hangerback Walker's in the deck, and deck lists are public in the top 4, they know what they're playing against. You are worried about Dromoka's Command blowing it up, but you don't mind if the Silk Wrap is getting a Hangerback Walker because nothing happens if you blow it up and the Hangerback Walker comes back. With Bauer's list being all on Ward of the First Tree and Heir of the Wilds, it makes Silk Wrap a little bit dodgier because Dromoka's Command is going to be powerful if that comes up.
Yeah, well, on Jared Bauer's side, he definitely, if Hunter's going to go the control route, Jared has the option to go for a more aggressive route. This is something that we saw Andrew Jessup do, and I'd expect Jared to do as well. Looking at a sideboard, he has a lot more low-end removal style cards.
Yep, 2 copies of Duress, 2 Self-Inflicted Wound, 2 copies of Silk Wrap, a Sorum Solemn Visitor, 2 Tassigers, 3 copies of Transgress the Mind, 2 Ultimate Price, and a Wingmate Rock. The additional copy of Wingmate Rock, the 2 copies of Self-Inflicted Wound, and the Tassigers as well, possibly Sorin, possibly Transgress the Mind.
It will be interesting to see whether or not Jared can execute that aggro game plan. He's going to have to do it twice in a row. So we'll bring you back to the booth for a second. So we want to tell you about the big event Star City has next weekend. That is Grand Prix Atlanta. It's been coming up for a while, and now we are just 1 week out. So November 13th through 15th, next weekend, join us in Atlanta for an entire Grand Prix put on by Star City Games. And a lot of different options on the weekend. First of all, there's the main event. That's a Battle for Zendikar sealed event. You see there 6 boosters, try your luck, 9 rounds day 1, a 7 and 2 record or better making into day 2. If not, though, we have Commander Celebration. We have 3 days of Commander events firing, as well as the Infinite Challenge Pass that you have seen at previous Star City events. Perhaps you want to play a constructed format, Commander or Limited, not your that format of choice. We have lots of Infinite Challenge events going on all weekend in assorted constructed events, and that pass will get you entry to each and every one of them.
If you're planning on playing on those sort of events, the Infinite Challenge badges, the Commander badge, they're very good deals, come with a lot of goodies as well. See in front of you here the play mat. Again, StarCityGames.com/GP Atlanta is the website. Hashtag GP Atlanta for social media. This comes free with any register for any of those badges you saw right there before you.
Yes, you can choose your experience as to how you want to enter the event. We have just a sealed pool registration where you can get a premium upgrade, which gets you a special Zur the Enchanter playmat, as well as the Zur the Enchanter pin, and other assorted upgrades, as well as we have the full VIP special. That one, pre-register, a sleep-in special, playmats and pin, along with side event vouchers, trading cards, and then access to other water bottles and other services throughout the weekend for the premium experience. So tailor that to how you want it to be for the weekend, as well as on the weekend we have extra things, full Battle for Zendikar, full art lands, the exclusive Seek the Wild pins, access, and the Battle for Zendikar lands, you get those for the Sealed Spectacular players and the Last Chance Grand Prix Trial winners, as well as playing in the Sunday Super Series Sealed.
Variety of way to get those lands, and of course, every time Star City Games runs a Grand Prix, we bring in a lot of artists as well. Our guests of honor, we've had him before. John Avon, celebrated Magic artist, is particularly with lands. Doesn't come stateside very frequently, so if you want to get some of those iconic cards signed by John Avon, anticipate a long line, but he will be available throughout the weekend.
Yeah, other artists for the event, and we have a full alley of artists here all weekend for signing cards. Pete Venters, Winona Nelson, Clint Clearly, Anthony Palumbo, Jason Engel, among others, will all be in attendance at the event.
Also, a Commander Seminar and Meet and Greet on Friday featuring a lot of the figures of the Commander community, Sheldon Minnery, Benny Smith, MJ Scott, Danny West, including the Commander Versus group that you know from Star City Games videos, Jonathan Suarez, Wes Wise, Justin Parnell, and Stephen Green.
And last but not least, we'll have a Meet and Greet on Friday with, some guys who talk about Magic sometimes.
Yeah, Cedric and I will be covering the main event. Matthias over here will be playing in it, and from 5 to 7 p.m. on Friday, Cedric and I will be doing a Meet and Greet, so if you want to come by, say hi, whatever the case may be, we're going to be there for a couple hours.
All right, so register today. Learn about that, StarCityGames.com/GP Atlanta. Learn more about the event, and be sure to register today. That one's coming up.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
1 week. Less than a week, actually, at this point.
Yeah.
Kicks off on Friday.
Our meet and greet's on Friday. That's 5 days away. All right, so we start at Bauer on the play. And we've seen this. Lots of dual lands really can tempo out these players, starting on Shambling Vent and then Canopy Vista. All these things coming into play tapped. Hunter Nance, for the record, was on a 6-card hand. So that really didn't slow him down. He was on 5 last game.
Yep, and that's a function of these decks having just a lot of card advantage, Den Protector especially. It's rare that these decks just flood out and run out of stuff to do. So you definitely don't want a mulligan, but these decks are more robust with mulligans than a lot of previous standard decks.
Yeah, last game we saw Jared Bauer, I suppose, eventually run out of cards in his hand, but even then, multiple shambling events that he never got around to using. It doesn't seem like these decks, I guess, flood out, so to speak. The games end before that happens.
Yep, it's, Bauer definitely still had resources left over, and when he lost the game, it wasn't because he ran out of stuff to do, it was because he lost the battle on the board.
All right, well, Bauer still has the first creature on the board. That's a turn 3 Anafenza the Foremost. We go back over to Hunter. We'll see how he responds. And this is the interesting thing. Hunter on his basic lands, looking like he's really the guy with the better mana base at this point. Abzan Charlie put into Anafenza, and the trading begins here.
Yeah, we saw the reverse of this last game when Bauer was very smooth on basic battle, and Nance was stumbling a little bit with a lot of lands that came into play tap. This time it's the reverse.
So board's clean. Bauer will have to reload. Rhino in hand, but no 4th land for Bauer. All he gets to do is make Heir of the Wilds. And that's not a threat that demands an answer from Hunter.
No, unlike most of the other creatures in the matchup that sort of demand immediate answers, Heir of the Wilds is something that Nance can allow to be on the table for a little while. Doesn't deal all that much damage, and Nance can focus on developing his board or focusing removal on Bauer's more substantial threats.
Yeah, this might be pretty punishing. If you look at Nance's hand, he's got land number 4, he's got land number 5, and, well, he has the card that ends games, Wingmate Rock. If Jared is not at the ready with kill spells, Hunter could make short work of him. See, Hunter, now that he got rid of an Anafenza, he'll go for his own Anafenza. Over on the other side of the bracket, we have our first finalist in 3 games. It is Matt Tumovic, winning the Obzon Agromir over the youngster Aaron Sorrells. So Tumovic, the player who made it to 8-0 yesterday, picked up his first loss in round 9, runs the table, draws into top 8, and now he is awaiting Hunter Nance or Jared Bauer in the finals of our tournament. And it's looking like it might be Hunter Nance. Jared on his turn, no choice but to just pass, no play, no attack. This has danger written all over it.
And if Nance has untapped land number 5 here, the coast is clear for a rated wingmate rock against what I would assume would be an empty board, assuming Bauer is going to block here with Air of the Wilds. And rated wingmate rock against 3 lands and nothing in play. A very commanding position for Nance if he can put it together.
Yeah, no, I believe Jared has the Obzon Charm to take care of Anafenza, so perhaps no attacks for Hunter just yet, but you saw him draw Siege Rhino there, so even if this is removed, he has plays available. And on Jared's side, he didn't Obzon Charm. He let the attack happen. Now Raid is enabled, and Hunter's going to go for it.
It was going to be hard for Bauer to keep him off of this over the long term because Bauer is stuck on lands and Nance has got other creatures in his hand. But I think Bauer would have been better served to just killing the Anafenza. Now he's really under the gun to respond to this token and the original rock. That's 2 cards. That's 2 turns.
Yeah.
And Bauer's already behind.
And so he was forced to Obzon Charm anyway there. So it's... Yeah, it doesn't help very much, you know, that there's still a 3-4 left in play, even though Jared traded his Obzon Charm, traded his Air of the Wilds. And you see, he's trying to catch up for it. Self-inflicted wound will clear the board again. Jared keeping things clean, but he's not making Hunter pay much of a price for it. And Hunter can press the mana advantage. Den Protector getting back Wingmate well, Wingmate's exiled, but still, Siege Rhinos and a lot of these other things he has going, they're all strong here.
And Hunter has just drawn an excellent card here, Stubborn Denial. He has the mana available. Well, actually, no. He has it set up. He can
cast leave up Prairie Stream.
You always got to double check with these lands. I thought for a second he was on the Sunken Howl for both blue and black, but no, he can cast the Siege Rhino, leave up blue for his copy of Stubborn Denial, and if Bauer spends his turn trying to kill the Siege Rhino, Nance is going to get way out in front.
Yeah, and I was wondering the exact same thing. Hey, can he do this? If he can have Stubborn Denial and Siege Rhino, that's so much pressure on Jared. So many of the cards in these matchups just trade 1 for 1 with each other. That cheap cards, 1 mana spells, 2 mana spells that can trade are really at a premium. It's where Stubborn Denial becomes great.
And Nance here with his copies of Murderous Cut, 3 copies, that's a lot of copies of Murderous Cut.
Yeah.
Plus his 2 Stubborn Denials, which he's splashing a color for, going out of his way to make sure that he can get to 2 spells in 1 turn territory faster than other Obzon decks.
Well, no play from Bauer. We go back over to Nance. Hunter goes to attack. Jared wised up. It's going to try to Obzon Charm the Rhino so that no rated Wingmate rocks happened, but despite blanking the right play, it's just not going to work out for Jared. Stubborn Denial takes care of the Obzon Charm. Jared's going to get hit for 4, and Hunter going to continue, let the threats keep on coming. Cracks for a 6th mana source, and he just has options. It looks like he'll go for Den Protector face down, can get back Obzon Charm, can get back Stubborn Denial, still has another Sorin in his hand. Hunter's going to clean this one up.
Yeah, and even with Murderous Cut in hand and a bunch of cards in the graveyard, the rest of Bauer's hand is so expensive that he can't put together 2 spells in 1 turn. And he's so far behind at this point that the best he can do is respond to one of Nance's threats, and Nance will simply untap, attack him for some amount of damage, place another threat, rinse and repeat. And I don't know if Bauer can claw out of this hole.
No, and it's just a story of too little, too late. Jared, with a good curve out of plays, he has Gideon, he has Wingmate Rock. These are great cards to have, but the lack of lands is going to eventually catch up to him now. We see here, he's going to have to go for a main phase Murderous Cut. That'll be on the Rhino. It's going to slow Hunter down, but Den Protector will do so much.
And now, actually, Bauer gets, or Nance rather, just gets to get the Siege Rhino right back.
Yeah. Now it's in the yard. He certainly can make that play.
Saves Bauer a total of 1 point of damage.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if Bauer wants to go for the Murderous Cut, is there perhaps he wants to do that in Hunter's upkeep so that if Hunter end steps the Den Protector, he can't get Rhino?
The problem there is that Nance then just gets a Den Protector back, Stubborn Denial.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah, there's no, Bauer's just jammed up. There's not a whole lot to be done.
I suppose he could let him flip up the Den Protector, and then with that trigger on, he could cut the Rhino.
Maybe, but Nance might just go and untap is the problem.
Yeah, and then everything's terrible. You're absolutely right. I mean, on 3 lands, there just aren't that many great plays you can make.
Yeah, I mean, you can hope that Nance messes up, but the most likely scenario is if you just pass with 3 mana up, Nance will go, okay, untap, attack you.
Yeah. So here's the swing for 3 off Den Protector, and, well, he got it back last turn, might as well cast it. Hunter will make Siege Rhino. Bauer down to 6. Looking like it might be his last turn, and Nance, he'll keep it coming. Here's another Den Protector. The draw is a Den Protector from Bauer. That is not going to keep the damage across. And Hunter Nance, 2-0, is on to the finals.
A huge weekend here for Nance. 1 match away from winning the tournament, $5,000. That's a huge deal. But now 20 Open Series points on the weekend, solidifying his place in the Players' Championship.